Back in the day, things were a bit different. Imagine lighting up a cigarette on a plane or getting on a flight without even showing your ID. Sounds wild, right? But just a few decades ago, that was everyday life. Let's take a trip down memory lane to the 70s and discover 12 things that would make your jaw drop today. There was a time when driving down the highway without a seatbelt wasn't just common, it was the norm. Seatbelts were often tucked away under the seats or used to hang clothes in the back of the car. In the 70s, only about 40% of drivers bothered to buckle up. Today, though, seatbelts are a must, with cars beeping at you until you click it. This change has saved countless lives, reminding us how far we've come in caring for our own safety. Imagine it's 1975, and you're bundled up in the back of a car, ready for a movie under the night sky. Drive-ins were more than just a place to watch movies. They were where communities came together. Families, couples on dates, and friends would gather to enjoy a shared experience. But as time passed, indoor theaters and streaming services made drive-ins feel like a thing of the past. Today, the nostalgia for these open-air cinemas lives on, reminding us of simpler times. Back in the 70s, airports were relaxed places. You could stroll right up to your gate without having to flash your ID a dozen times. It was quick and easy, but after the events of September 11, 2001, everything changed. Security got tighter, and now showing ID is just part of flying. It's a trade-off we've made for safety, but some folks still miss those carefree days when air travel was a breeze. Picture this: you're enjoying a meal in a restaurant and the person next to you lights up a cigarette. No one even blinks. It was just the way things were. Smoking was allowed almost everywhere, from planes to hospitals. But as we learned more about the dangers of secondhand smoke, indoor smoking started to disappear. Now it's hard to find a place where lighting up indoors is allowed. A change that's made our air cleaner and our public spaces healthier. In the 70s, sticking your thumb out on the side of the road to catch a ride was normal. It wasn't just about saving money, it was about meeting new people and embracing the unknown. Hitchhiking was the spirit of adventure and trust. But over time, news stories of dangerous encounters made people more cautious. And with the rise of ride-sharing apps, hitchhiking has nearly vanished. It's a reminder of how much trust and community have changed over the years. Back then, flipping through a thick catalog was like window shopping without leaving home. Families would gather around, circling their favorite items from clothes to toys. These catalogs were a lifeline, especially for folks living far from big stores. But as the internet came along, the way we shop changed forever. Even though online shopping is faster, there's something special about those old catalogs. The excitement of waiting for them to arrive and the joy of finding just what you wanted. Imagine needing to call someone while you're out and about in the 70s. Payphones were everywhere, on street corners, in malls, at gas stations. They were the only way to stay connected if you didn't have a phone at home. But as cell phones became popular, those metal and glass booths started disappearing. Now, payphones are mostly a memory, reminding us of a time when making a call wasn't as simple as pulling out a phone from your pocket. Before emails and instant messaging, keeping in touch meant writing letters by hand. You'd put your thoughts on paper, seal them in an envelope, and send them off, hoping for a reply weeks later. It was a personal, heartfelt way to communicate, and every letter was like a little treasure. But today, with messages flying across the globe in seconds, the art of letter writing is fading, leaving behind a warm nostalgia for the patience and care it once required. In the 70s, going to the record store was an event. You'd spend hours flipping through rows of albums, finally picking the one you'd been saving up for. At home, placing the needle on the record was a moment of anticipation, waiting for the music to fill the room. Vinyl records were more than just a way to listen to music. They were a way to connect with it. Even though technology has moved on, with music now just a click away, vinyl has made a comeback for those who still love that tangible connection. Typing used to be an art form, with typewriters clacking away in offices everywhere. There was no backspace or delete. Every keystroke was final. If you made a mistake, you had to start over. When computers arrived, writing became easier, but something was lost in the transition. The careful precision required by typewriters taught patience and focus, something that today's instant editing can't replicate. Taking photos in the 70s was a bit of a gamble. You'd take your shots, drop off the film at a store, and wait days to see how they turned out. There was excitement in the uncertainty, and opening that envelope of developed photos was like unwrapping a mystery. Today, we can snap 100 photos and see them instantly, but there's something about that waiting game that made each picture feel a bit more special. Remember when making a phone call took effort? Rotary phones with their circular dials were the standard in most homes. Each number required a full rotation, and And if you messed up, you had to start all over again. It was a slower, more deliberate way to connect with others. As push-button phones and then mobile phones took over, that familiar clicking sound became a thing of the past, leaving behind a lesson in patience and precision. Wow, what a trip down memory lane. We've seen how much the world has changed since the groovy 70s, from road trips without seatbelts to smoking in restaurants. Our freedoms looked a lot different back then, but it's not just about what we've left behind, it's about how we've grown. We've traded some conveniences for safety and some simplicity for technology. It makes you wonder, what do we take for granted today that might shock folks 50 years from now? Maybe our grandkids will be amazed that we used to drive our own cars or type on keyboards. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you lived through the 70s, we'd love to hear your stories too.